Hello, hello, high level listeners. Did you whip up some food in the kitchen this morning? Or maybe you're thawing out something to eat for a little bit later. Or maybe you're excited to dig into your favorite meal right after this video. If you aren't familiar with some of these phrasal verbs that we just used, you're in luck because today's video, we're here with another episode of our phrasal verbs series, where we share a list of phrasal verbs around a single topic to help you speak fluently and confidently using real life vocabulary.
Yes, that's right. Today's topic is all about cooking. So we're about to share 12 commonly spoken English phrasal verbs about preparing and cooking food. These will be really helpful when you want to talk about cooking in high-level English.
So let's go ahead and get started. Like always in these videos, we'll explain each phrasal verb very simply, giving you a really good definition. Then we're going to give you 2 to 4 example sentences for each one. I think you'll really enjoy these phrasal verbs that we've chosen for you today. Let's jump into the first one. The first one is to chop something up. To chop up. To chop something up means to cut it into little pieces. So if we're going to chop something up, we are going to cut it into little pieces. This is a good example of the word up meaning 100%. So if you chop your vegetables, great, that's cutting them into small pieces. But to chop something up is to cut them into small pieces completely. Okay, so to chop something up is much more common than simply to chop. I'll chop up the onion for the soup. That means I take the onion and chop it 100%. I'll chop up the onion for the soup. We chopped up the apples to make a pie. We chopped up the apples to make a pie.
Yes, just like Kat said, if I gave you an onion and said, "Can you chop this?" I imagine you cut it once in 2 halves. And if I want lots of little pieces of onion, can you chop it up, please? Can you chop the onions and garlic up for me? Can you chop the onions and garlic up for me? Let's chop up the carrots and celery. Let's chop up the carrots and celery. So the next phrasal verb is whip up. Whip up. To whip up something, whip up some food in the kitchen, whip up a meal, is to make a meal and eat it quite quickly. Maybe you're late for work, maybe you don't have much time in the morning, so you grab 2 or 3 ingredients, mix them together, and whip up some breakfast. So I'll whip up a quick snack before we go. I'll whip up a quick snack before we go. I don't have time to cook, so I'll just whip up a sandwich. I don't have time to cook, so I'll just whip up a sandwich.
I can whip up a salad in no time. I can whip up. Whip up. Nice and quick. I can whip up a salad in no time. I whipped up in the past. I whipped up some eggs for breakfast. I whipped up some eggs for breakfast. Our next phrasal verb is to warm something up. To warm up your food means to heat your food again after it was already cooked, okay? So if it's something that's cold, you need to warm it up. Heat it up is also very similar. Warming something up, to heat up the food. This is again another phrasal verb with the word up. You can warm something in the microwave, but if you want to warm it up, it's the perfect temperature. It's 100% warm all the way through, completely warm. I need to warm up the leftovers from yesterday. I need to warm up the leftovers from yesterday. Can you warm up the soup in the microwave for me? can you warm up the soup in the microwave for me?
Going to warm up some milk for my hot chocolate. I'm going to warm up. Like Kat's been stressing, the last letter joins the next word in the phrasal verb. So warm up, warm up. I'm going to warm up some milk for my hot chocolate. I'll warm up the pizza for dinner. I'll warm up the pizza for dinner. The next phrasal verb is to cut down on something. If you cut down on a food or cut down on an ingredient, you use it less. This is often when people are on a diet or trying to be more healthy. Maybe you cut down on the oil in your food or the fat in your food to make it a little bit healthier. You can also use this to talk about your lifestyle in general. If I want to cut down on food from a certain restaurant or a certain type of food for my health, this is the phrasal verb I'll use. This is not anything to do with knives or chopping. This is different sense. This is why phrasal verbs can be tricky. For example, I need to cut down on junk food. I need to cut down on junk food. That means I need to eat less junk food. I think I'm going to cut down on how much meat I eat. I think I'm going to cut down on how much meat I eat.
I like this one because it's actually 3 parts to cut down on something. But we can use cut down. Oh, no thanks, I'm trying to cut down. If that's the end of your sentence, you don't need to talk about what it is. Maybe someone says, "Hi, do you want some chocolate cake?" "Oh, no, sorry, I'm trying to cut down." But if you're going to continue and tell me about it, we do need that extra word on. "Oh, I'm trying to cut down on sugar in my coffee." I'm trying to cut down on sugar in my coffee. So to cut down on sugar. "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to cut down." I'm trying to cut down on sugar in my coffee. We're cutting down on salt in our food. We're cutting down on salt in our food. So we're trying to lower the amount or start to remove it, right? To use less of it. Okay, so we have another phrasal verb, to mix something in. To mix something in. Now, we can mix something up and mix something in. So when we are putting different foods together, then we are going to mix something in. So if I have a bowl of items ready and I'm adding some items, I'm mixing it in. I'm mixing it in. So especially for a recipe, slowly mix in the chocolate chips with the cookie dough. The cookie dough is already ready, okay? I've mixed in lots of different ingredients, and we're going to mix in one more. So it's like we're adding or mixing it in. Slowly mix in the chocolate chips with the cookie dough. We mixed in the eggs with the flour and milk. I have the flour and milk already mixed together. Now I'm going to add in or mix in the eggs. We mixed in the eggs with the flour and milk.
Some more examples. I like to mix in different vegetables in my salad. I like to mix in different vegetables in my salad. That means I have my salad leaves and maybe I add cucumber, peppers, red onions, etc. Different vegetables. I like to mix in, include them. I'll mix in some honey with my tea. I'll mix in some honey with my tea. That means I have my tea. I will add some honey and stir. I will mix in some honey with my tea. Okay, another cooking phrasal verb is thaw out. Thaw out. there will be a difference in our accents when we do this. In a British accent, it's thaw, T-H-A-W, thaw out. When you have something frozen from the freezer and you want it to thaw, unfreeze. Basically, warm up so it's ready to cook. If it's frozen, you can't cook it. It'll be hot on the outside, but cold in the middle. But if you thaw some meat, then you can cook it all through and it's safe to eat. Usually I'll take something out of the freezer and put it in the fridge and it will thaw out in there. Another example, I'll thaw out some frozen berries for breakfast. I'll thaw out some frozen berries for breakfast. I put the meat in the fridge to thaw out. I put the meat in the fridge to thaw out. Out in this case means completely.
All right, excellent. So the word thaw, thaw. I could see Mark saying thaw, thaw in kind of the front of your mouth. And then I was thinking, how do I say it? Yeah, I say thaw, thaw. This is more like aw, like say aw. Yes. So to thaw out. Another word that we sometimes use that you might see on your microwave is defrost. Defrost is a similar word.
Yeah.
Defrost, to let the frozen food become not frozen. Defrost. Defrost is a good one. Yeah. But I usually use the word thaw out. Now, if the chicken is thawing, it's not finished yet. So if it's thawing out, like Mark said, out here means completely. Hey, don't forget to thaw out the chicken for tomorrow. Don't forget to thaw out. Thaw out. So we're kind of, and we don't carry over that W. We don't say thaw out because that sounds like, that just sounds wrong. So we thaw out. Thaw out. All right. So that's a kind of a funny phrase. We thawed out. Thawed out. Thawed out would be something that we did in the past before. We thawed out the bread in the oven. We thawed out the bread in the oven. It was frozen before, and now it's ready to cook. We thawed it out. Okay, so we have another phrase for you that means to make something hotter or to make something less hot. We actually use the action of turning the dial, okay? So we say turn it up or turn it down, okay? This is when we are cooking on the stove or cooking in the oven. We can turn the heat up or turn the heat down. If we want it hotter, turn it up. If we want it cooler, still warm, then we're going to turn it down. So I turned down the heat and let it simmer. I turned down the heat and let it simmer. When we turn up the heat, usually the water will be boiling on the stove. And if we are finished with the boiling water and we want to turn the heat down, I turn down the heat and let it simmer. So that's a much slower way to cook. It's not hot enough. Can you turn it up, please? It's not hot enough. Can you turn it up, please? Turn it up, that means turn on more heat, turn on more fire, right? Can you turn it up, please? Can you turn it up, please?
Some more examples. I need to turn down the heat or it'll burn. I need to turn down the heat or it'll burn. When we're talking about the temperature in the oven, you call that the heat. So you turn up the heat, turn down the heat. That is the temperature inside your oven. Another example, I'll turn up the oven for the vegetables. I'll turn up the oven for the vegetables. Maybe you're taking things in and out of the oven and they require different temperatures. If I want to increase the temperature, I'll turn up the oven for the vegetables. So the next phrasal verb is kind of an accident. Sometimes if you're cooking pasta or potatoes or something in boiling water and suddenly it comes up to the top and over the sides of the pot, it boils over. The water boils over, or the food boils over. Again, this is usually boiling water in a pan, and it goes over the edge and makes a big mess. Maybe it's hot and a little bit dangerous. So if that happens, you should turn down the heat and let the water come back down. Sometimes I take the lid off and I blow on it, and that helps a bit too. You might say, careful, don't let the water boil over. Careful, don't let the water boil over. The pasta boiled over and made a mess on the stove top. This is the past tense. Boiled over. It has a D. Boiled over. The pasta boiled over and made a mess on the stove top.
The milk boiled over and made a mess on the stove. The milk boiled over. So if someone says, oh my goodness, who made this mess in here? Well, the milk boiled over and made a mess on the stove. I'm cleaning it up, I promise. The soup boiled over when I wasn't watching it. Just, a few minutes. I walked away, and the soup boiled over when I wasn't watching it. All right, another phrasal verb that we have is to cool down. To cool down. This is another instance where we have the word cool, and we often add the word down, okay? Cool down. Down is to the right temperature, okay? So heat up, warm up, cool down. Cool down. That means we want to heat it up to the perfect temperature, or we want to cool it down to the perfect temperature. So if something is quite hot and, oh my gosh, no, I'm sorry, it needs to cool down. It needs to cool down. What's the difference between it needs to cool and it needs to cool down? Well, cool down would be the perfect temperature. I need to let the coffee cool down before I drink it. We let the cake cool down before we iced it.
I'll let the soup cool down a bit before I eat it. I'll let the soup cool down a bit before I eat it. So it's too hot to eat right now, so I'll let it cool down. The pie needs to cool down before we cut it. The pie needs to cool down before we cut it. Next phrasal verb is the food is ready. Everything is cooked and it's time to dish up. Dish up. When you dish up food, you take the food and put it on a plate. Then you probably take it to the dining table or take it somewhere else out of the kitchen to eat. When you dish up, you're putting the cooked, prepared food on a plate or in a bowl for people to eat. You might volunteer. Say, I'll dish up the ice cream for dessert. I'll dish up the ice cream for dessert. The ice cream is in a container, so take it out of the container onto a plate. Dish it up. I always dish up my food onto a big plate. I always dish up my food onto a big plate. Maybe it's lots of food for people to share.
All right, can you dish up the pasta onto everyone's plates? All right, can you dish up the pasta onto everyone's plates? We dished up the salad and put it on the table. We dished up the salad and put it on the table. All right, I like this phrase a lot because we're ready to eat. So let's dig in. Let's dig in. To dig is, to take a shovel into the ground. And to dig in is to start eating. Dig in, everyone. I made spaghetti. Now let's dig in. I can't wait to dig into this delicious cake. Dig in, everyone. I made spaghetti. Now let's dig in. I can't wait to dig into this delicious cake.
Yeah, especially when you're excited to eat. You're like, dig in while it's still warm. Dig in while it's still warm. Don't let it cool down. It's most delicious when it's still warm. So dig in. Like, you guys can all dig in. Don't wait for me. You guys can all dig in. Don't wait for me. Last phrasal verb of this video is go off. Go off. If food goes off, it's not safe to eat. The food goes bad and you shouldn't eat it. You can definitely smell it when food goes off. Maybe you pick up some meat from the fridge. Oh, it smells really bad. The food has gone off. You should throw that in the bin. You shouldn't cook it. You shouldn't eat it. It has gone off. Maybe you crack an egg and you smell it. Ooh, I think these eggs have gone off. Ugh, I think these eggs have gone off. I don't want to eat this cheese because it might have gone off. I don't want to eat this cheese because it might have gone off.
Sometimes in American English, we would say it went bad. It went bad. So it went off, it went bad. We use probably both of them. I do kind of say if the milk went bad. I think the milk went bad, so I threw it away. The milk went off, so I threw it away. The milk went bad, so I threw it away. We didn't eat the meat because it had gone off already. I can't believe it. We didn't eat the meat because it had gone off already. It had gone bad. It had gone off. Yuck. Gross. Okay, so there you go. Another amazing list of useful phrasal verbs and phrases that you can use when you're cooking or preparing food in English. Now, which one of these phrases was your favorite from today? Did you learn anything new? If you really liked the video today, let us know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe to our videos to get up to 3 new videos every single week.
Yes, thanks very much. Don't forget, you can also get a PDF transcript of this episode and all of our previous episodes. You can get a PDF that you can download and take offline. If you become a high-level listening member, you'll see the link of how to do that below. Thank you very much, everyone. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time for another video. Bye-bye.